Hello friends, today we will discuss the subtopic plasmolysis. It is a very important topic of the chapter transport in plants. So, what happens in plasmolysis? As the name suggests, here occurs the shrinking of protoplasm of a cell when it is placed in a hypertonic solution. Let's see how. If we placed a plant cell in a hypertonic solution, we can see that the outermost layer of a plant cell is its cell wall, and the outermost layer of a plant cell is its cell wall, and inner to the cell wall here present is the cell membrane, as we show it with yellow color. You can see that a cell membrane is present just inner to the cell wall, and there is no effective space between the cell membrane and the cell wall. In a normal plant cell, membrane remain almost attached with the cell wall. Then we can see that a vacuole is present inside the plant cell filled with cell sap. The liquid filled inside the vacuole is known as cell sap, and the liquid present outside the vacuole is the cytoplasm, and a peripheral nucleus can also be shown. So, in this plant cell, the outermost layer is cell wall, inner to the cell wall is cell membrane, then the membrane of vacuole is tonoplast, inside which cell sap is present. Between tonoplast and cell membrane, cytoplasm is there, and this cell is kept in a hypertonic solution. So, study of plasmolysis is started from here, when a plant cell is kept in a hypertonic solution. So, we can see that the hypertonic solution has definitely the solute concentration higher than the cell. So, if solute concentration is higher in the hypertonic solution, definitely this cell will lose water to this solution. Why? Let's see. Due to cell sap present in this vacuole, here is present some osmotic pressure. Due to solute present, the osmotic pressure is built up. But in this cell, already present water is also there, and that water creates a hydrostatic pressure. You can see like this, the water which is already present in this system creates a hydrostatic pressure, and we know this pressure as turgor pressure. Due to this turgor pressure, the membrane of this cell remain attached with the cell wall, and this cell maintain its original shape. But when we place this cell in hypertonic solution, we will find that osmotic pressure of this solution, in which some solute is present, which concentration is higher than the concentration of a cell solution. So, due to high concentration of this solute, the osmotic pressure of this hypertonic solution is higher than the cell. That's why this cell will lose water to this solution. And that is called exoosmosis. Due to this exoosmosis, osmosis, this cell will start losing water to this solution just because of high concentration of solute present in this solution. So we know very well that any system, if it is placed in a hypertonic solution and it is kept separated with a semi-permeable membrane, it will definitely lose water to that solution because of exoosmosis. So here also exoosmosis start, this cell will start losing water to this solution, and that's why its turbulent pressure will gradually decrease. So this is the first stage of plasmolysis. We can say this as limiting plasmolysis. The first stage of plasmolysis is known as limiting plasmolysis. In this limiting plasmolysis, when cell start losing water to the hypertonic solution, its turgor pressure start to decrease and it becomes zero at the end of this stage. So this stage is marked by, or this stage is limited by zero turgor pressure. At the end of this stage, turgor pressure becomes zero. So the DPD of this cell, or we can say the demand of water of this cell, becomes equal to the osmotic pressure. So here we can say turgor pressure becomes zero, as occurs in a flaccid cell when turgor pressure becomes zero. But always remember, being turgor pressure zero never means being water zero inside the cell. Water is still present in this cell. भले ही इसका टर्मिनल प्रेशर अभी जीरो हो गया है, पर अभी वाटर इसमें प्रेजेंट है. इस सेल ने कंप्लीट वाटर लॉस नहीं किया है, पर हाँ इसका वाटर इतना कम जरूर हो गया है कि अब वो हाइड्रोस्टैटिक प्रेशर कोई टर्जिडिटी कॉज नहीं कर रहा, इसलिए ये मेम्ब्रेन अब स्टार्ट हो जाएगी इस वॉल से डिटैच होना, और यही हम अगली स्टेज में नोटिस करेंगे. सो नेक्स्ट स्टेज ऑफ प्लाज्मोलाइसिस इज कॉल्ड इंसिपिएंट प्लाज्मोलाइसिस. लेट्स सी व्हाट हैपेंड इन दैट स्टेज. सेकंड stage of plasmolysis is known as incipient plasmolysis. So what happens in this? Let's see. This is the cell wall of a plant cell, and due to turgor pressure which has already become zero, this membrane start to lose from the corners of the cell wall, and we can see a clear space between them. So this space marks the stage incipient plasmolysis. From this space we can identify the stage of plasmolysis which is called incipient, and this stage can be clearly seen under the microscope. So we have seen here that plasma membrane start to detach from the cell wall, and as tonoplast also shrinks, the amount of cell sap also becomes lesser, as well as the amount of cytoplasm. So continuous loss of water is still going on in this solution because this is hypertonic solution and our cell is still present in this hypertonic solution. So loss of water is still continuing. So incipient plasmolysis can be identified by this space between the cell wall and cell membrane, and tonoplast is also there, cell sap is there, hypertonic solution in which cell is kept. They are all same, but the change is that the membrane start to detach from the cell wall just because turgor pressure has already become zero, but still the loss of water is going on. That's why turgor pressure here becomes negative. In the starting of incipient plasmolysis, turgor pressure starts to become negative. This is the only case for a plant cell where the turgor pressure becomes negative. Usually we do not see hydrostatic pressure in negative side. Always hydrostatic pressure occurs towards positive side, but in plasmolysis, in the case of plasmolysis, it becomes negative. So if this process remains continue, the final stage comes, which is called evident plasmolysis. The last stage of plasmolysis, We can say this evident plasmolysis, third stage of plasmolysis, which occurs after incipient when turgor pressure has already become negative, but still the loss of water is continued. So, if the loss of water is continued from a cell which has already a negative turgor pressure, what happens? Let's see. In the last stage of plasmolysis, where enormous loss of water has already been takes place, then this membrane remain connected with the cell wall at few points, and from all other places it becomes quite shrink, and that's why the cytoplasm will collect in a corner and the cell appears somewhat like this. This cytoplasm of a cell becomes shrunken, or we can say the complete protoplasm becomes shrunken, because membrane has already been detached from the cell wall. It remains connected with the wall at certain points only, and here we can see the shrunken tonoplast, very less cytoplasm, as well as very less cell sap. So the complete protoplasm has been shrunken, and this is cell wall, this is cell membrane, this is tonoplast, and this is shrunken cytoplasm, very much shrunken. But what is present between the cell membrane and cell wall? That is the important question. In evident plasmolysis, when complete protoplasm is shrunken and collect in some corner, what remain present between the cell wall and cell membrane of a plasmolyzed cell? The answer is this space is filled with this hypertonic solution. Why this hypertonic solution is present here? Because this cell wall is permeable. This cell wall is permeable, so what is outside, that will be inside also. So, in evident plasmolysis, we can see the completely shrunken protoplasm and very much space between the cell membrane and cell wall filled with hypertonic solution. And that is very important question. Hypertonic solution remain filled in between cell wall and cell membrane. So it is evident plasmolysis, and it occurs when turgor pressure becomes highly negative. You can see that turgor pressure becomes zero at the end of limiting plasmolysis. In incipient plasmolysis, it starts to become negative. That's why this membrane starts to detach with the cell wall, and now this membrane is almost completely detached with the cell wall, and turgor pressure becomes highly negative. So the dPd of this cell becomes equal to osmotic pressure plus turgor pressure. This is the maximum dPd for any cell in which the demand of water is sum total of osmotic pressure plus turgor pressure as well. So इतनी ज्यादा dPd किसी दूसरी सेल की नहीं होती, क्योंकि इस सेल को वाटर की डेफिशिएंसी नॉर्मल नहीं हुई है. इस सेल ने अपना खुद का वाटर जो इसकी टारगेट प्रेशर को मेंटेन करता था उसको भी लूज कर दिया है, तो इसकी डेफिशिएंसी एक्सट्रीम है, और ये एक्सट्रीम डेफिशिएंसी इसकी डिमांड कॉज करती है. सो only in a plasmolyzed cell dPd becomes the total or sum of osmotic pressure and turgor pressure. Otherwise this dPd is always the difference of osmotic pressure and turgor pressure, but here the turgor pressure has already been negative, so it is also summed up with osmotic pressure, and it increased the demand of cell, it increased the value of dPd. This is the maximum of dPd of any cell. So what can we see in plasmolysis? When a cell is kept in a hypertonic solution, it starts losing water, its turgor pressure starts to lowering and it becomes zero at the end of limiting plasmolysis. It becomes negative during incipient plasmolysis, and in evident plasmolysis it becomes highly negative, and in this stage cell cannot be alive for much time. If we place this cell only for few seconds in this stage, it becomes dead. If we want to keep this cell alive, we should definitely shift this cell into a hypotonic solution or pure water. As soon as we will shift this cell into a hypotonic solution or pure water, this cell starts to take water from outside, and this endoosmosis will cause attaining the normal shape of this cell again. Only in this way this cell can be kept alive, otherwise it will become dead. In evident plasmolysis, no cell can withstand, or we can say no cell can be alive for more than few seconds. तो अगर हम चाहते हैं कि ये सेल जिंदा बचे, तो हमें इसे तुरंत शिफ्ट करना होगा किसके अंदर, प्योर वाटर के अंदर या हाइपोटोनिक सॉल्यूशन के अंदर। और उस प्रोसेस के दौरान जो वाटर इसमें एंटर करेगा और ये सेल फिर से नॉर्मल होगी, उसके लिए हम एक इंपॉर्टेंट टर्म यूज करते हैं, deplasmolysis. This complete process is plasmolysis, but the reversal of plasmolysis is deplasmolysis. When we kept or when we keep a plasmolyzed cell in a hypotonic solution quickly so that it can retain its water from outside, this process is called deplasmolysis. So sometimes deplasmolysis is also asked. तो आपको ध्यान रखना होगा, प्लाज्मोलाइसिस में सेल को रखा जाता है हाइपरटोनिक सॉल्यूशन, और डीप्लाज्मोलाइसिस में उसी प्लाज्मोलाइज्ड सेल को हमने कहां रखा, हाइपोटोनिक सॉल्यूशन। ओके, सो plasmolysis is related with hypertonic solution and exosmosis process, while deplasmolysis is related with hypotonic solution and endosmosis process. Okay, so this is all about plasmolysis. This is all about condition of pressure and demand of water in case of different stages of plasmolysis. We can also express them in terms of potentials. Okay, DPD, you can see as high the DPD is, as high the demand of water is, as much negative the water potential of the cell becomes. Okay, but keep in mind very clearly that this is the only stage where pressure, turgor pressure or pressure potential of a cell become negative. Otherwise, it will always remain positive, as we have seen earlier. Okay, so plasmolysis and deplasmolysis we have studied. Now we can see the significance of plasmolysis process. What are the significance of this plasmolysis? We can see in practical examples. Like, first, we can see the significance in preservation of canned foods. How? Canned food, the food which are packed inside a container. In these canned food, we can see in mostly when the food contains some solution, this solution is kept very concentrated. Why? In a concentrated solution, osmotic pressure of this solution is very high. Like we have seen the pickles, canned pickles. We can easily differentiate the canned pickles because of high amount of salt present in them. जो बाजार में जो अचार आते हैं, उनके अंदर हम नोटिस करते हैं कि उनमें सॉल्ट कंसंट्रेशन बहुत ज्यादा रहती है, नमक बहुत ज्यादा रहता है। तो सॉल्ट यहाँ किसका काम कर रहा है? सॉल्ट इज एक्टिंग लाइक ए सॉल्यूट एंड इट इज इंक्रीजिंग द कंसंट्रेशन ऑफ द सॉल्यूशन, which is preventing the growth of any microbe into it. If any microbes will try to grow in this solution, it will become dead due to plasmolysis, because outside solution has very high osmotic pressure, has very high osmotic concentration. Okay, so this plasmolysis is used in the preservation of cane food. Again, we can see the examples of over fertilization. Over fertilizing effect. What is this? What does this mean? We sometimes see that plants are provided more amount of fertilizers, more than necessary. Sometimes we provide very much amount of fertilizer to a plant, then it becomes dead. Why? Why it becomes dead? Because the fertilizers are made up of mineral solution, and these minerals, when mixed with the soil solution, they increase the concentration of soil solution, and soil solution has very high osmotic pressure after mixing more amount of fertilizer. So this soil solution, from this soil solution, it becomes very difficult to absorb water for the plant, because plant absorb water mostly by difference of osmotic pressures initially. So when soil concentration becomes high, the concentration of soil solution becomes high, a plant feels difficulty to absorb water from this solution. Even sometimes plant will lose its water to the soil. So due to deficiency of water, roots and plants becomes dead. So over fertilization can cause the death of plant just because of that plasmolysis. So there are two important examples of plasmolysis. It is used in preservation of cane food, and it can be seen when over application of fertilizer is applied to the plants. Okay, so this is all about plasmolysis. So now we have discussed the plasmolysis. It was an important topic. Questions can be asked from the different stages of plasmolysis. Next topic we are going to discuss is the imbibition. It is another important point. Imbibition. What does imbibition means? It is the absorption. How can we technically define the imbibition? It is the absorption of any liquid around some colloidal material without forming any solution. So, what is the definition of imbibition? Absorption of any liquid around some colloidal material without forming any solution. Means in this process, a liquid substance bind over the surface of the particle of some colloidal matter without forming any solution, and this binding is known as adsorption. तो imbibition बेसिकली एब्जॉर्प्शन है. हम कई बार इसमें एब्जॉर्प्शन टर्म भी यूज कर देते हैं, पर इस एब्जॉर्प्शन में भी कौन सा प्रोसेस इन्वॉल्व है, दैट इज एब्जॉर्प्शन. एनसीईआरटी में जो डेफिनेशन इसकी यूज की गई है उसमें एक बार एब्जॉर्प्शन टर्म इस्तेमाल की गई है, उससे कंफ्यूज होने की बिल्कुल जरूरत नहीं है आपको. बेसिक प्रोसेस इन्वॉल्व हियर इज द एब्जॉर्प्शन. जनरली इन जनरल टर्म्स उसे एब्जॉर्प्शन कहा गया है. So again, listen to the definition of imbibition. It is the adsorption of any liquid around the surface of colloidal matter without forming a solution. How does this happen? तो हमें समझना होगा कि imbibition process में दो कंपोनेंट इन्वॉल्व हैं. एक कंपोनेंट है एक सॉलिड मटेरियल जिसे हम कह रहे हैं imbibant, और दूसरा कंपोनेंट है एक लिक्विड जिसे हम कह रहे हैं इम्बाइबेट. हमारे लिए जो लिविंग सिस्टम जिसको हम कंसीडर कर रहे हैं उसके अंदर ये इम्बाइबेट जो है, जो लिक्विड है वो वाटर. तो इस वाटर को इम्बाइब करने की कैपेसिटी कौन से सॉलिड्स में है, तो हम कहेंगे इम्बाइबेट एक सॉलिड मैटर होता है जो कि प्रोटीन हो सकते हैं, कार्बोहाइड्रेट्स हो सकते हैं. यहां पर इनके कुछ एग्जांपल हम ले सकते हैं, जैसे स्टार्च है जिसमें कार्बोहाइड्रेट होता है, गुड़ है जिसमें सेलुलोज पेक्टिन जैसे कार्बोहाइड्रेट होते हैं, ज़ैंथियम सीड्स हैं जिनके अंदर प्रोटीन रिच सीड होते हैं। तो प्रोटीन कार्बोहाइड्रेट जैसे जो सॉलिड कोलॉइडल सब्सटेंस हैं, they should have colloidal nature. These colloidal substance can imbibe this liquid. How does this happen? Like we have seen in rainy season, wooden furniture becomes swell up due to aggregation of moisture around their particles, due to moisture present in the environment. This moisture contains what? Water vapors, and these water vapors enter into the wood, and around the wooden particles these water held like this. How does this happen? Because this wood or this solid substance has very high negative value of water potential. इनके खुद के अंदर वाटर इतना कम है कि इनका वाटर पोटेंशियल बहुत हाई हो जाता है, साथ साथ इनकी एफिनिटी है इस इम्बाइबेड सब्सटेंस के साथ यानी वाटर के साथ, तो वाटर एंटर करता है इनमें, और यहाँ बीच बीच में आप देखो कि जो वुडन पार्टिकल है उनके बीच में कैपिलरी एक्शन डेवलप हो जाता है, और इस कैपिलरी फोर्स की वजह से वाटर यहाँ हेल्ड हो जाता है। तो you can clearly consider in mind that during imbibition, imbibement has very high negative water potential, as well as water held around the solid particle due to capillary force. So two important terms also comes in action here: capillary force that is present in this process, as well as very highly negative water potential of imbibement. Then an important thing you should also keep in your mind that there should be some affinity between the imbibant and imbibate. That like wood can absorb or wood can absorb water by imbibition, but wood cannot absorb any non-polar liquid like kerosene. The kerosene shows affinity with rubber, which is a non-polar substance. So rubber can absorb kerosene while wood can absorb water. So polar substance shows affinity with polar substance, means solid and liquid both should have similar nature and both should have some kind of affinity with each other. So wood can absorb water easily. So we can see the example of imbibition like swollen wood in rainy seasons. Now, an important factor should also taken under consideration, that is, in this pressure, in this process, huge pressure is developed that is known as imbibition pressure. Imbibition pressure, and the value of this imbibition pressure is very high. We can feel this pressure when we try to shut or open the wooden door during rainy season. They becomes very hard to shut or very hard to. We need to apply an enormous amount of extra force to make them open or closed. That occurs due to development of this huge amount of pressure by this process, which is called imbibition pressure. Nowadays, a different term is used to define this pressure in terms of potential, that is called metrical potential. I have already told you about this potential. We have taken under consideration this potential as a component of water potential. I have told you that water potential has few other components other than solute potential and pressure potential. I have told you psi m and psi g. So this is the psi m, which was related with imbibition process. So psi m is also called metrical potential, and this is quite equivalent to imbibition pressure. So according to modern concept, we show the imbibition process as metrical potential. But I have told you that this metrical potential is not present always. So we do not take it under consideration while we describe the water potential. It becomes significant only in few cases, like we have seen swelling of wood in rainy season. The other important example is breaking of seed pod during seed germination. During seed germination, this process becomes very prominent. This process becomes very important, and the first thing occurs, that imbibition of water through the seed coats. What happens during seed germination? Seed imbibe water because seed has very less amount of water and very high negative water potential. That's why water enter into it and the living cells of embryo swells up very much. Seed pod could not expand up to that extent because seed pod is almost made up of dead cell. That's why the huge pressure created by living cells of embryo can break the seed cord. Then germination of seed happens. Then the tissue of plumule and radicle comes out. This is what happening during seed germination. So in seed germination, imbibition process is important, and huge amount of imbibition pressure is responsible to break the hard seed coats. So you can see another example of imbibition pressure is germination of seed. One more thing I need to tell you, that in this process the water molecule held over the surface of solid or colloidal matter. This holding of water is like stopping of them. Previously, the molecules of water has their kinetic energy. They can move here and there, but as soon as they enter into imbibement, they bind over the surface of the particles. And due to this binding, their kinetic energy is lost. And as you know, the energy conservation is always there. So this energy converts in the form of heat, and this heat is known as heat of wetting. In imbibition process, heat of wetting is also produced, and we can feel this while we see an important process, the kneading the flour. हिंदुस्तान में रोटियां बनाने के लिए जो आटा गूंदा जाता है, उसमें आप देखते हो कि आप कितना भी कोल्ड वाटर उसमें ऐड कर दो, आफ्टर नीडिंग दैट फ्लोर बिकम्स समवॉट वार्म. वो आटा कुछ गर्म हो जाएगा गूंथने के बाद. उसका रीजन है कि जो पानी उसके अंदर गया है, उसके अंदर स्टार्च पार्टिकल्स मौजूद थे. उन स्टार्च पार्टिकल्स की सरफेस के चारों ओर वो वाटर बाइंड हो गया, और इस दौरान उसकी जो काइनेटिक एनर्जी लॉस्ट हुई है, दैट काइनेटिक एनर्जी becomes the heat of wetting, and it causes the warming of that flow. Okay, so heat of wetting is also related with imbibition pressure. Metrical potential is also related with imbibition pressure. There should be some affinity between imbibate and imbibant in the process of imbibition. Capillary force is also present there. Very highly negative water potential should be there inside the imbibant. That's why imbibant enters into it. And the examples of imbibition process are the swelling of wood during rainy season, germination of seeds, and you know very high amount of imbibition pressure is developed during this process, and that is used in ancient time to break the hard and solid large rocks. How? There are cracks between large rocks, and people of ancient time used to enter a dry wood, you can say a piece of dry wood inside these cracks, and then they made it wet. जो क्रैक्स वहां पर होते थे रॉक्स के बीच में, उनके बीच में कोई लकड़ी का टुकड़ा फंसाकर वो उसको गीला कर देते थे, और आफ्टर सम टाइम ड्यू टू imbibition a huge pressure is developed and it can cause the breaking of the rocks. इसी वजह से हम देखते हैं कि कई बार जो सीड्स जर्मिनेट होते हैं तो वो कई बार कंक्रीट की जो रोड्स बनी होती हैं उनको तोड़ देते हैं। कई बार आप देखो कि दीवारों के बीच में प्लांट की रूट सेंटर कर जाती है, क्योंकि रूट के अंदर जो वाटर एब्जॉर्प्शन होता है उसकी रूट हेयर पे जो सबसे पहला प्रोसेस होता है एब्जॉर्प्शन ऑफ वाटर के दौरान वो भी इम्बाइबिशन होता है। सबसे पहले रूट हेयर की सरफेस पे वाटर बाइंड होता है। इसके बारे में मैं अभी आपको वाटर एब्जॉर्प्शन के दौरान में बताऊंगा। ओके, सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट इम्बाइबिशन व्हिच वी हैव डिस्कस्ड नाउ। तो आज हमने दो इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक डिस्कस किए हैं, प्लाज्मोलाइसिस एंड इम्बाइबिशन। आप इनको जरूर देखें और समझें, और इसके बाद कल हम स्टडी करेंगे वाटर एब्जॉर्प्शन, देन असेंट ऑफ सेट एंड देन ट्रांसपोर्ट।